Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Joshua and this is Rooftop. In today's workshop, we're going to be looking at Pichwai painting. It is a Rajasthani style of painting. Now, from this painting, we are going to be looking at something very specific. We're going to be looking at a lotus drawing. Now, as we've seen in our previous works, we have seen Khaligat style, we have seen Cherial style, which have a lot of borders to it, and they go around some folk tales or maybe regarding their village and how they lived. So this style is mostly focused on tales of Krishna. Now, before we jump into the workshop, there are some things I would like to show you. Okay, so here I have three different books. Yeah. So we have Adventures of Pichwai, Expert, Essentials, and Elementary. Now let's have a brief look about them one by one. Okay. So I'll start off with the Elementary. Now the elementary books or the elementary versions of each style of painting, in this case the Art Ventures of Pichwai. This book is designed for kids who are willing to learn. So in this book, let's see what the book has to offer. Now in our index, we can see what all chapters are there or what all the book has to offer. We have some wonderful illustrations as well. Now, this is the Pichwai artist called Rajaram Sharma. And this book is based off of his paintings that are currently made. So we can see an introduction. We have certain questions like what is Pichwai art? Who are the Adigor community? The story of Pichwai art also. Then we have some patterns and borders. So here we can learn the patterns. And we have some borders as well. So we have a workspace for each border or each design or each pattern also. If you look at this pattern here, the lotus and the leaves, we have one here where there is a bit of help here, and then you can do it by yourself. And here we have two more blank spaces where we can just try to practice it on our own. Now this book, it's made in let's say a story type, so that the kids or even beginners, it's not limited to kids, even beginners can try and understand the history of this. So this is the elementary version. Now let's look at the essentials. So the essentials comes in a hardcover. Comes in a lovely hardcover like this. And this is a little more advanced as compared to the elementary version. So as you can see already, we can start seeing a lot more images in here, or a lot more paintings. Here we have some of the works, the color palette, about the artist again. We get this for a bookmark as well, some lovely colors. And now here are some of the paintings. And then after this, we have borders as well. Now if you look at the borders as compared to the previous one, this one was there, but these start to get a lot more intricate. And then we have some lotuses as well here. There's some motifs. Get to practice. And there's a lot more which the book has to offer as well. And after this, we have the expert version. Now this is for people who already have some sort of knowledge in art and some knowledge in the Pichwai style of painting. So here also we get a lovely hardcover. And there are a lot more topics as compared to the previous two. Here we can see there are a lot more works. We have the color palettes here. The color palettes keep getting more and more, you can see, a little more complex or a little more detailed. There's a larger variety as well. We have a bit of the geography of the origins of the Pichwai style painting. And then there's a lot more information also regarding its history, the themes, and how and what they do. You can see this contemporary art look. We have a calendar also. And then we can see a lot more borders as well in this. And here are some motifs. As you can see, there's a lot more that this book has to offer. So these three are the Pichwai style. Let me just put this in. Yeah. These three are books on the Pichwai style painting. Now, if you're interested in getting these, or if you would like some more information on this, you can have a look at our website, or you can download the app. And if you're interested in getting them, you can get them on our website or on Amazon as well. Now let's jump into the main work. Okay. So excuse me. I have my drawing book here. I will take my pencil. Now let's look at the reference that we have. All right. Okay. So here we have our reference, which is the lotus, or this would be in one of the borders or in one of the backgrounds as well. So this is a Pichwai inspired art piece. Now what we can do is we can start off by creating the design. Okay. So we can mark where we want the top part to be and then the bottom part. And we can start off by placing down the much bigger elements in this piece. So what I mean by that is the big leaves, the petals, the lotus itself. You can start off with that. So what I will do is, one of the ways I like to start would be, am I audible? Okay. Yeah, would be by just roughly drawing the shapes of these elements like this. And then over here you can have the lotus. Somewhere about that. So now I'm just drawing, like circles or a similar shape as to what these elements have. You could say something like this here. Now I'm drawing this very lightly because it's not the final work. I will use this as a guideline, you could say, for the final piece. Now I can look at the lotus, the second lotus, which comes about here. Yeah, You can see somewhere there. Okay, this part will come. Over here. So we'll start off by just placing down the shapes so that we know how big or where do we need to place these elements. Okay, now we have this placed down there. What I can do is I can start placing these stems also. Just like this. I'm not going to start drawing the the leaves or the petals or the flowers yet. I'm just placing down the stem so I have a clear idea of what I want placed where. Now when you draw the stem, right, try to draw it in one smooth motion. I'll just zoom in like that. Okay. And this will come right about there, and then from here it can come up like that. Now, if we look at Pichwai painting, it is a traditional Indian art which originates from Rajasthan. So these paintings, they portrayed the life and tales of Lord Krishna. Place these here. Like that. This one was there as well. Okay, and this one can come right about here like that. Now these paintings were initially made to serve as a background for Lord Shirnathji, who is basically a manifestation of Lord Krishna as a child. And Pichwai art goes back to the 17th century, to a town well known for its Shirnathji temple and the art form which was used to adorn the walls of the temple. In these paintings, they were also portrayed in numerous events from Lord Krishna's life. And they used a lot of natural paints and dyes for this style of painting. Okay, now we can start with the details of these big elements that we have. So we can start off with the simpler ones, like this leaf here. Now I can start darkening it a little bit. That, some long strokes. And then here with the lotus, I'll mark the base. I'll mark the tip like that. I'll place this right there. And same thing for the bottom one. That looks good. Then I can, for each petal, what I will do is I'll mark the tip first and where I want it to go, and then I'll start connecting it down as well. Here also, and I will connect this part down. Then this one is overlapping a little bit. It comes till here. And this petal as well. We put a dot first for where we want it to be, and then I'll connect it here. Then I'll see how close to this petal does it go, and then bring it down and connect it. This petal is almost at a similar height but slightly lower. Like that. Okay. And then over here, now remember the stem comes to the center of these leaves. In most cases at least, or it's the part which connects to the leaf. So we'll have like an upside down V, and then I can start connecting this here. this one also will come up until here, a little deeper, like that. And connect it. So now you can see the, 1 second, yeah, we can see how it's starting to take shape. So whenever we try to draw anything, not necessarily complicated, but something with too many elements, we'll first just draw shapes of it. Now see, there's a lotus here. So I just imagined a shape going from each petal like that, this way straight up, and I do that here. Now it doesn't have to be inside of this precisely. You can take it out. This is just for us to understand that, okay, we want it to be around this size and this placement, and it is tilting a little bit to the side. Now I can do this petal again. Or what I'll do is I'll do this one first and then use this as a reference for the petal. So I'll just darken this. Okay. Now this one, again, it will go inwards, stick there, and then come outside like a W basically. That looks good enough. I think it's a little too curvy outwards. I'll take my eraser. So now this is called a kneaded eraser. As you can see, it is like clay, but it is not your molding clay. I mean, you can still mold with this, but it won't dry out. It will remain like this. So the way we can use this is, say if you have something small to, let me just bring this a little closer. You can see here I want to erase this line here, and sometimes what happens with the eraser is that it becomes too worn out or too flat like this, or too wide. But with this, I can just press it and make it into the shape I want it to be in. See, maybe like this. Then I can start erasing it, and it works really well. There's no like residue that you have with the way, how you use normal erasers. This thing doesn't leave anything behind. What it does is it just picks up all the graphite that is there. And it's a little sticky also, so you can see it's a bit sticky. Okay, now we can go for the petal. You can take it until here, and we'll make it a little wide. Like that. And then the same thing for this one. I'll just put a dot and see if this is okay. And I'll do the bottom one first. The bottom one will come up until here. Take it out. Like that. And then I can connect this. Like that. And this one will come here, this one will curve up. This part can come out over here. Same thing with this petal. Like that. Okay. Then we can, keep bouncing back and forth between each of the elements. Now, with this stem, I'm pretty happy with the placement, so I can darken it like that. Even here, I can just darken this a little bit. Remember, long smooth strokes. Otherwise, what can happen is, I'll show you an example with this one here. In this one, I will put it down like this. And for this, I'll just use long strokes. You can go over it a couple of times, but let's see if you can see the difference. Yeah. You can see how much cleaner this line is. And if you look at this, it's a bit too thick, it's a bit too wavy, it's not very uniform. Okay. Now I can go for this petal, this leaf over here. Let me connect it. Same thing this side. Now this I can change a bit. So I'll take my eraser. Does anyone remember what this eraser is called? Any guesses? Okay. Now over here, this will come towards the center-ish of the leaf. And it will come, say, about this close to this leaf. So I'll take this, and even if I'm going over it, I will use long strokes. Exactly, kneadable eraser. So this one it's called a kneadable eraser, a kneaded eraser, or a clay eraser also. So those of you who would like to buy this, you can just go to your stationery and tell them clay eraser or kneaded eraser. So the same thing here also. That now I'm not really happy with how thick this one came, but how wide the line went. You can smoothen it out like this. Okay, now it's looking a little more uniform. Now over here, you can just give it a very slight wavy texture. Like this. So it doesn't have to be exactly how it is in the reference. For this particular part, you can keep it close enough. It's too far. So if you look at this eraser, you can see how it leaves this residue behind. But the needed one makes your life much easier. Okay, now this part I'll take it upwards. Nice. So how I did that in one stroke? It will be good if you practice the same as well. It's okay if you don't get it on the first try. So if you're interested in, like trying to get much cleaner lines, one exercise that I normally do is I will hold my pencil this way and I will go from end to end drawing straight lines. I won't be too fast or I won't be too slow also. Hold on. I think. Okay, I'll just put this paper here. So if you want to practice drawing long lines, first of all, don't hold the pencil this way. Hold it from here or further back. If you hold it from here and I try to draw a line, you see how it goes? But now if I were to hold it from here, now I'm not going to use my wrist, I'm going to use my arm. So from my elbow, and I will draw a straight line. Now first one may not come right, but the rest will start turning out straight. Let's bring this closer. Yeah, you can just practice that. And then you can practice diagonal lines as well, like this. Remember, one motion, like that. If you go too slow also, you'll end up getting very wavy lines. Alright. Now we can get back to this one. We can do this lotus here. If you are interested in having, like a workshop where I just teach the basics of sketching or drawing, you can let me know and we can come up with a workshop as such. So those of you who are interested, you can let me know in the comments. If not, that's also okay. Then we can have something else that we could do a workshop on. These two, this one I think I can widen it a little bit. Yeah. Same thing here. like that. And then I'll darken this part. It will come up. And down like that. Now we can darken this petal here also. Okay, now you can see, so whatever extra lines are there that is outside of the drawing, we'll just quickly erase that. Okay. Can we have a workshop on pencil sketching? Okay, all right, sure. We'll make that happen. When it does happen, we will let all of you know through our social media so that you are ready beforehand. Okay, now we can start with the painting part. Okay, so I will first start off with the stems. Almost forgot what they were called. So I'll start off with the stems, and then I will start working my way up to the other parts. Hold on. Okay. Now, as you can see, I have blue and yellow here. The reason why I have it is because I'm going to create green. We're going to make our own green color. I have my palette. I'll put a bit of blue in here. Or wait, I will put my... How much green do I need to put? Okay. I can put my blue in here. I think about that much. And then inside of this, I will add a yellow to it as well. Now I want it to be a little darker green. So I will start off with less yellow and more blue. Okay, I'll take my brush. I'll take another brush. I'll take a slightly bigger brush to mix this since the quantity is a lot more. Now when I mix blue and yellow, you can see it will start, let's take this a bit higher. You can see how dark it is. But now as I start mixing it, it will start to turn green in color. I'll just mix this properly. Now when you mix blue and yellow, one of the reasons why it gets lighter is because yellow has white color inside of it already when they're making the paint. So when you mix it with another color, it automatically starts to get lighter. Now we can see, if I put this here, we can see that it is green color. Okay. Now I can take a little bit of this green and I will put it here, about that much. Remove all the paint, or as much as I can, from the brush. Now I'll take a smaller brush and I will take my green color that I have. Repeat the shades of how I made the green. So in order to make green, I mixed blue and yellow. Now the blue I'm using is Prussian blue, but normally you would get ultramarine blue, which does a good job in itself. Each blue has its own, or each color, like for example blue, we have ultramarine blue, we have Prussian blue, we have phthalo blue, we have cerulean blue. There are many blues, I can just continue naming them. But each blue has its own distinction from each other. So now when I mix yellow and Prussian blue, I'm using cadmium yellow. Yellows also have their own different shades to them, or their own variety. So when I mix cadmium yellow and Prussian blue, which is what I am currently using, you will get this kind of a green. But if I mix ultramarine blue and cadmium yellow, then I will have a slightly different kind of green. So what you can do is, if at all you're interested in knowing the different types of colors and what they do, you can just you can just buy the small 12 ml tubes. Don't go for the big ones, and you can just mix them and see what kind of colors you get. Mix them with white, mix it with red. Let's say if you take ultramarine blue, mix that with titanium white, mix that with crimson red, scarlet red, and then you have alizarin or something along that lines. It's been a while since I've used that color. You have different kinds of reds. You can mix it with that, mix it with different greens also. You have viridian green, you have leaf green, then you have Van Dyke brown, you have burnt umber, burnt sienna. These are all different shades of the same color basically. Now it can sound a little overwhelming when you hear all these names, and you do not need to use all of them. For my personal paintings, I just have a fixed set of colors which I experimented with in college, and now I use them for my own paintings. So it's not necessary to go through all the colors, but if at all you do get the chance to, it will be really good. Even if you may not use those colors, you'll at least have the knowledge of, if I mix these colors, what can I get? Or if you see a reference, you will know that, oh, if I want to make this color, I can mix this shade of yellow and this shade of blue or this shade of red, and so on. Now, even when we paint, we're going to be using long lines or long strokes. So these are known as confident lines, you could say. Because if you keep, going over it again and again and again, that could show, that, you aren't sure about what you're doing. It can show a bit of indecisiveness. See, so this way. What you can do is you can start from the middle and then slowly start pushing outwards so that you don't make a mistake. Like that. I think on screen it looks a little dark. It's not actually this dark. It's pretty bright, but okay. I could switch on another light, but then the shadows would be a little too strong. I don't want that to, disturb the painting or to come in the way of the workshop. Now, is there anyone else interested in a particular workshop that you would like to see me do? If you have any ideas or if you have any suggestions, you can let me know in the comments. Also, you can start from the inside and bring it towards the out. And if you feel that your paint isn't spreading as well as mine, then you can add a little bit of water to it. We want it to be somewhere in the middle of thick and thin. We don't want it too watery, we don't want it too thick also. And then once you start gaining some confidence with, like these long strokes, you can start holding your brush also very weirdly the way I'm doing right now. So there, just like that. Then this here as well. There are different ways of filling up lines, but I think I can keep that for another session. Now, okay, now you can see this green here, right? If you look at the reference, the lighter green that is there, it is not exactly green, but it is more towards yellowish green. So I will take more yellow if I want to lighten up green. I won't put white. I'll take this yellow and start mixing it up. Let me try getting it here. Let's see. So I'll take this yellow and I'll mix it in here, and you'll start to see it lighten up. And we can lighten it up until we get a good enough green. Add a little bit of water to this, not too much. If you feel that it became too bright, then you can always take this color and put it back in here and dim it down a bit. Okay. Okay, I did it too soon. What we can do is just clean my brush real quick. I'll take this previous green that I had, the dark color. We even have the inner part of the leaves. Like this. And we can take it upwards like that. And these lines also, when I go to paint them, will start from the center of and I will take it from like this origin point, you could think of it as, where the stem is connected. Something like that. I'll do it once again. Over here. This part I'll make this one a little bit thicker because I want it to blend in with the color I put after this. And then the same thing on top over here also. Now if you look at the reference, there are a lot more colors added to this green as well, but in this workshop I won't be going into that in depth. I'll keep it simple enough so even the beginners can understand. Like this. Yeah. And then here also at the bottom we have long strokes. You can give this also a very slight outline. It's okay if the line becomes, a little thick. It's going to be the lighter shade of green coming onto this anyways, so it's going to be hidden. So even if I make a mistake and I go through it like that, you can still fix it. else? Here also on the inside. Now this would normally be much darker than what I'm doing, but since it's already pretty dark on camera, I'm gonna leave it as it is. Now, one of the reasons also as to why this is looking so dark on camera, even though it may not be for me, is because this white color or this off-white color of the paper is so strong that even though this may be light, it is looking dark as compared to this. What we can do is we can do a very quick experiment. Now if you see, I have this black color here. You can try putting the paint onto this. You can check whether it's a camera issue or... Okay, hold on. Maybe on this we can try. Let's see. Yeah, we can see the green color over here. But if I put the same color on this side, look at the difference between the two. This one seems a little lighter, this one seems a bit darker. I'll put this here also. So colors work not just by, getting the right shade, getting the right tone. You got to see the correlation of it with the other colors as well. If you have a very bright background, your light color can look dark in it, and vice versa. If you have a dark background, your medium light color can look very bright. And this also I will I hope I'm not confusing everyone. Now, if you feel like you haven't understood certain things that I have said, or maybe it might sound a bit confusing, that is okay. For me also, when I first got to know about this, I was like, what do you mean? How is the color affecting the other? And then I came across certain videos and tried to experiment with it myself. Or even I made mistakes by myself where I was like, oh, you know what, this color is perfect. It looks perfect on my palette. The second I painted it, I was like, what am I doing? Why is the color not coming right? So it's okay if it might seem a little confusing. It's just something that you learn, on the way. This also, I will put it all the way to the edge. Yeah, I'll take a little bit more green from this. And we have this side as well. Now this I'm doing it very roughly because I'll be adding the lighter green color. So then that will hide away, or that will cover up the areas that I do not need in this. So I'll take this here. Okay, now over here as well, on the inside. Let's see, my color's not spreading properly, so I will take some water, mix it in this, and now look how easily it will just spread. It's as if I have infinite paint in my brush. And no matter how much I paint, it's just gonna keep going on and on and on and on. Okay, now I can mix this up. I'll take a lighter color. I'll take a bit more of this paint and a bit more yellow also. Mix it into this, because we have quite a lot of areas to paint with this color. Now normally in this, instead of just cadmium yellow, I would add yellow ochre also. And we'll get this very brownish, yellowish, greenish feeling to it. I'll mix a bit of water also into this. Now, was there anyone here currently on the stream who was there for the Ganpati painting workshop? I had done a Ganpati painting workshop, I think last week, if I'm not wrong. Were any one of y'all there, or has any of y'all seen that? Because in there, while I was painting, while I was drawing, the drawing wasn't visible because of how dark the background was. And I was like, just give it a bit, let me just start the painting. And the second I did, the entire piece just popped up. It looked really cool. I think, yeah, I have it here with me. I'll just finish this area and show you. You can start seeing the color take shape. In between this also. This part as well. In this workshop, I will just be showing how we can create a simplified version of this reference that I have here to the side. Because if we try to replicate it in a one-to-one way, it would take quite a lot of time. I'd spend the whole day on it. I think you can start seeing it. Start seeing the difference in the colors. Bring this part down. Take this here. And this one also. Can we make a cow motif for the pitch of the Pichwai painting? As in, you mean like right now or in the future? In future, yeah, sure, definitely. So we'll be going through a lot of the art forms, and we'll be going through a couple of them, several times. It's not like a one time thing, like, okay, today we are doing this type of workshop, so you'll never see it again in the future. But okay, definitely I'll keep in mind that the next time I do this one, we can do the cow motif. But if we do that, it will be just like the cow, because if you've seen the paintings, and I'm sure you have, you've seen how detailed and intricate they can get. Even I think recently also we've done a Goan dot painting. For that I have done an elephant motif as well. You can have a look at that also. That is in the Goan dot style. For the next one we can do the elephant as well. Amazing work, Josh. What kind of brush are you using? I'm using a flat brush. So since this is thin, I'm using a flat brush as it's a lot easier to cover up space. But along with that, I have some round brushes as well. So these thin ones that you see, I'm rotating it. These thin ones that you see, these are round brushes, and the square like brushes are called flat brushes. So I'm going to be using a mix of the two. This one over here. Take this there. Take this here. And also there's no need to call me sir. You can just refer to me as Joshua. Yeah, okay. Now I can lighten this up quite a lot. I'll just put this over here. I can make sure there's no paint leaking onto the book. Take a bit of water. You can see how many tones here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so when we mix it, right, we want to make sure that, when you dip ink into, you put a drop of ink into the water, you can see how it just starts spreading. So we don't want to see that. We want one nice flat color. Okay. Now I can start adding this gradient to it. I think I can make it a bit more brighter. Has anyone used Photoshop here? Or any sort of editing software? Because right now I really wish I could use Photoshop in real life. So I could just click here and change the entire background color. Okay, this is a much better color. So now here I'm using it a little bit dry-ish so that I can blend the color a bit with that rough texture. Like this part here as well. So in certain areas where I want it to be a little smoother, I will very gently go over it, like barely the tip of my brush. Yeah, like that. Okay. And then a little bit on the edge of this as well. First spread out, or if I have more paint, I'll put it towards the edge and I'll remove a little bit of my paint from the brush, and then I will just gently drag this down a little bit so that we can get a gradient type of finish. And same thing here. I'll start with the top area. No, in between here, I'm just very roughly doing it. I'm not focusing on that right now. Just wherever I want it a little lighter. Okay, now I can slowly start pulling this paint downwards very gently. It will look a bit patchy from the close-up view, but if you look at it from a distance, like that. And then again with this side, take a bit of paint. Now see, it's towards the bottom edge that we can see it's a bit stronger, the light color, like around there. And then I'll remove all this extra paint and I will just start dragging whatever little paint I have there. And the same concept we can, hold on, let's make sure that the edges are Nicely done. Yeah, that looks much better. So the thing about painting, right, is it can seem a little complicated and stuff, and certain things, yes, it can be a little confusing. But once you start understanding how the paint works, and this you can get to know by either just painting repeatedly, trying different stuff, and especially making mistakes. Because I remember once during college, I had to submit my assignments and I had to make a painting like, as quickly as I could. So the paint was a little wet. I was using acrylics itself, and I needed to dry it up quickly. So I found a cloth that I had. So it was sort of like a denim kind of material. I think it was an old jeans of mine that I just tore apart and used as a rag. And I tried to, like dab it and remove the extra paint from the canvas. But what I did was, or what I misunderstood was that the paint wasn't very absorbent. So by the time I did that, I just had very weird patches onto my painting. And I was like, oh no, what do I do now? And then I just looked at it. I tried cleaning it up a little more, and I looked at it. I was like, that looks very interesting. You know what? Let's just do this for the entire canvas and see how it looks. And I kid you not, I got one of the best textures I ever could. So, keeping that example in mind, the more you mess around or the more you paint, the more you'll understand on how you can use certain things, how you can get certain effects, or how you can get similar effects. Now, this reference would be more of a watercolorish painting, but what I can do is, if I do not have watercolor, I can try to get a similar type of texture or a similar type of finish, with acrylics. This one there, okay. You can take a bit of the darker color. I'll spread this around the edge like this. And now, since my paint is dry, or it's not really, really diluted in water, I can take all this remaining wet paint and I can just start pulling it down like this. If you see, it's very dry. There's nothing even coming onto this paper here, and I'm using very little pressure. So whatever paint is there over here at the top, I'm just pulling that down, and then over here I'll remove a little bit of paint. I'll add a slightly, yeah, exactly. It's not a mistake, it's just a happy accident. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah. There you go. We can get that nice, medium dark smoothness over here. Okay, and this side as well. So when it comes to painting, right, there were times where I would look at these artists, or I had some friends of mine also who were painters, I would look at their work and I'd be like, oh my god, how did you do that? Show me how, this, that. And then once I got to that level, I was like, oh, that's how you do it. And I was like, it wasn't that difficult to do. But what was missing was not the skill, it was the understanding. What I lacked was not the skill or the technique. You can literally create a technique of your own for all you know. It was the understanding of the paint, or of the paints that he was using or I was using, that I was, missing out on. So, one of the best advice I can give you all is mess around with your paints. Don't try to, like, I need to learn it this way and I will do it that way. Now, here also, if you see, I'm just continuously rubbing this so that whatever little paint is there will spread. Okay. And then I think we have just two more sides. And then we can go to the next part. I know this is, getting a bit dragged. But there are certain things you can't finish with speed as well. Okay, like this. And if I want, if my paint is still a little wet, I can just very gently start tapping on top also. So whatever paint is there, it will spread, but in very small quantities. And then I can do this area as well. Do you have any other questions that you wanna ask? It doesn't have to be related to this painting, or it doesn't have to be related to this workshop at all. It can just be regarding maybe something you are working on, and maybe you're confused with something, or you're having difficulty trying to copy a similar technique. You can just let me know and I can try answering it. This one here. I think for this one, I can just mix a bit of water in it, into the paint, and then I can go for it. So I'll start with the edges. I always start with the edges. Then it's a lot less stressful to paint the inner part. Like this here also. make sure you don't leave any white spots in between. Because sometimes what happens is you don't want to, cover the previous paint that you've put down, because then you'll have to mix the color again, have to keep doing it again and again until you get the right color, and so on. You can take this down here. Like this. I'll do the edges now, or the outline. Did you know that there is no such thing as a line? Lines do not exist. They never did. And they technically cannot as well. Can someone tell me how or why? Or maybe if you think I'm wrong, you can just tell me. You can counter question me. It can be like a sketching trivia, you could say, or an art trivia. Lines do not exist. Why do they not exist? Or why do I say this? What do I mean by that? Over here, I'll take a thinner brush. I'm waiting for an answer. You can think about it and tell me, why do I say lines do not exist? Or if you think that they do exist, you can state your answer down. Do you want me to give you an answer? If you have an answer that you want to give me, you can write that down also. Like, you can write it down in the comments. Or if you want me to give an answer to that, as to why I would say such a controversial thing, that lines do not exist, when all our drawings are based or start off with lines. Any guesses? Okay. So the reason why I say lines do not exist is because, let me show you an example. If you look at my hand, right? Let me just put this brush down. Can you see the lines in between over here? In between my fingers. Now when I open my hand, where are the lines gone? What do I mean by that? I'll give you another simple example. I'll just move this book. Now let's look at this brush. I have this brush here. I've put it between my fingers. So you can see that there is a brush here, it is between my fingers. But when I open my fingers, you can see that it is fallen down. So where is the brush? It has fallen down. Simple logic. But now when I do this, we can see the lines. But when I open my hand, we don't see them anymore. that means the lines should have fallen down, but they aren't down as well. So that means, hold on, yeah. So that means that lines, or what we refer to as lines, are basically wait, before I give you the answer, let me just do this real quick. Okay, so we can see this line here, but when I bring it closer to the camera, we can see that it is sort of a rectangular shape over here, but the second I take it away from the camera, it starts to look like a line. So a line, or what we refer to as a line, is technically just the difference between light and dark. And I can show that to you with another example here. Now, I'm just very roughly drawing a cube. Or even better, I will just shade this here. So we can see we have one tone. But now, if I do another tone here, you can see the line in between, right? Let me know in the comment if you can see the line in between here. Because if you see the line here, but now when I bring it closer, just keep getting closer to the camera, you can see there is no line in between. It's just light and dark. That's all there is. But our brain, what it does is it creates this, you could say, this invention of a line so that it's easier for our brain to distinguish between the two. I hope that makes sense. If that made sense, let me know. If it confused you, let me know also. So using that logic, lines basically do not exist. It is just the difference between a light tone and a dark tone, which creates the illusion of a line. I'll pull this down. So one of the things to have when it comes to art, right, is the understanding of, everything around you. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not something I came up with. This is something that was taught to me. So if y'all didn't know, I don't blame you. Even I was like, there's no way. How can a line not exist? But it is this one thing itself that can, change the way you draw entirely. I think I should have a drawing with me where I can show you that, or where I can show you where this logic makes sense. But I think what I'll do is I will keep that for the sketching class. I don't want to leak out a little too much. So I will keep a sketching workshop also, which is too deep. Exactly. When I was studying art, you have no idea how much my head started hurting. Oof, because in school I was like, oh my god, I'm the best, I had a little bit of that ego, a little bit of that pride, which I believe every artist needs. But when it shatters, it really throws you down back to earth. Because when I was learning art, we of course had drawing, painting, all of that, but we had a lot of conceptualizations as well. So, trying to come up with designs, compositions, metaphors, we had to learn philosophy, we had to learn history, we had to learn biology, had to learn chemistry, physics, but not in the academic way, where we learn refraction, this, that of light, not in that literal sense with you know maths and stuff in it, but more like, now if I want to draw my hand this way, I need to understand the bone structure. Now if I have this skin hanging here, that is because of the muscle that is in between, which then overlaps with the skin. So you have to learn it in that sense. And I think, yeah, in my portraiture workshop as well that I had done, I do mention a little bit, about the structure of the skull. I made it very minimal. I didn't go too deep into that. But just enough so that you can use it as a reference for your own drawings. Okay, now what I can do is I can start off with this. Before I do that, hold on. If you have any questions in the meanwhile, let me know, or if you have just any opinions on anything, you can let me know as well. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so now we can start with the flowers. We're too deep into the sketching and our topic, I forgot what flowers were called. Okay, so now for this I'll just move this here. Okay, do you want me to reduce the reference size, or is this size, where is it? Yeah, over here. Is this size okay for y'all, for the reference? I'll clean my brush in the meanwhile. I'll take a bit of red. Okay, I'll take this red and I'll keep it here. And I will take my white. So a little bit more, okay. We don't have too much, of red to use. So I'll take this white, I'll reduce it a little bit. I don't want this red to get too bright also. Okay, so now I have this, you could say light red, because when you lighten red, or when you mix white into red, it starts to turn pinkish. So I will take this color, and pull it downwards. Okay, now I'll show you another technique. I've done this technique in my previous workshops or in my previous lives, but I'll try doing it now also. Okay, this one it's okay if it dries. I'll take another brush this size. Let me see. Okay, I'll use this brush here. I'll show you how to get that smooth gradient. I'll take a bit of this red, a little bit. So whenever you mix red or blue into white, always start with the tiniest amount. So it can literally be a dot. Because red is very strong, or it's a very strong color. Okay, so here's what we can do. I have red and I have pink, and I'm using 2 brushes. What I will do is I will paint this here again a little bit and downwards, and then I will take this pink and I will mix it into this red, and then I will start painting it upwards like that until the colors start to match like that. Then I'll have to clean this. Take this light pink again. And then paint this bottom part here. So I'll just finish this part here. And you can see that it goes, that is a lot of water. I'll take this up from the edge. Upwards like that. Now you can do this technique and it can take you, quite a bit of time. That is one way of doing it. The other way would be okay. Is this clean? There is still green color in this. Okay. Let's take another brush. With only water in it. Now I will spread this water in this area here. So now this right petal is wet, and I will take this and start pulling this a little bit downwards like that. Which brushes are you using? Yeah. Then I'll take this pink also, spread it about here. like that. So we can either take these two colors when they are wet and try to blend them, or we can wet the paper first and then put these two colors. And then we have another way also, which is basically, we'll take this here. And I'll drag this downwards a little bit. I'll fill this area up. And so now I'll just do this for all the colors, sorry, for all the petals. So what I'll do is I'll drag it down a little bit lower than where it needs to stop. So if it needs to stop here, I'll stop it over here. So now, same thing with this one as well. Let's take my paint. And drag it down. This side as well. Again, drag it down. And we have the left petal. Okay, so we've done with that. And then I will take this very light pink that I have. Let me check which one was it. This one. I will take this up until here. I'll remove all the extra paint. I'll dry my brush. You can wipe it on tissue. And then you can give it a slight blend. Like that. So we've seen 3 different ways we can do this. Over here. Take some more of this. And drag this down. Sorry. And drag it down. And this side as well. Like that. Like this. And then I can give it a nice outline also. So I'll take this color, take a little bit more red. I think there's a bit too much water in this. So I'll just take it a little bit from the side. And give it an outline like this. Like that. Now what I can do is I can finish up all of the reds in the petals first. This seems to be enough water. So I'll just fill up all the reds in the petal first. This one I completed it first so that I can show you how I'm doing it. Okay, and then here carry this part down. Okay. Bring this one down. The lotus looks so beautiful. Thank you. So now that you've seen how we do the technique, you can choose which of the three techniques that you liked, or you can experiment with all three, because sometimes the technique that you like is not the one that you prefer doing. So you can come back to this live later on once we're done with this, and you can see how to do those techniques again, and then you can experiment it yourself. You can see the lotus looks like it is glowing. Even though you've seen how, in a way, simple the blending method was, it was mostly the paint doing the work. So I'll put there. Same thing here. I'll start with the edges and then fill in the middle part. This side as well. Okay, I'm almost done with the reds that I need. From the three techniques that I showed on these petals, can you tell me which one do you find more preferable or more suitable to yourself? Okay, now in this I can add white into it. Remember I said red is strong. Since I'm trying to add red to this, I will take whatever red I had left over in my brush and I will use that itself. Here also, you can just roughly fill in this part because I will give it an outline with the red. But even if I fill it up, I will keep enough space that that I still know where the outline should be. Now here I can slightly start pushing it upwards. And I can see it start glowing. Same thing here as well. I'll just take whatever leftover dry paint I have. I will just move this upwards. Just fill in this lotus here also. Seem to have forgotten about that or missed it. If you see, I'm just covering up until where the red and this color meets, and then once this color is sort of dried or used, I will then take this remaining color that I have in my brush and use it to fill in the areas there, or to give it the blend. Oh, my face seems to have come in the camera. Okay, and then we have this one last area here. Oh, over here also. Okay, now one last area here. Very roughly I will just fill this up. Then I will take my cloth, any cloth you can use, whatever extra paint is there. Don't remove everything, keep a little bit. Little enough that it is a bit transparent. Blend this over here. I'm sorry if my head keeps coming in the camera. It's out of habit. This one's okay. And this one's over here. Now I'm just dabbing, I'm just pressing it like that. Same thing, yeah. Okay. Then I'll take this brush. Now this brush that I'm using for the outline, I hope it's visible, is the brush by this Pichwai artist himself. It's his personal brush that he gifted to Rooftop, and I'm able to use it. But you don't have to use this particular brush, for the outline. Any brush that you use should work, and will work, not just should, it will work. Okay. Now I can do the outline here. We can add a little bit of water. Need the paint to come out smooth, so if there is a little bit of water to it, it will be a bit better. Sorry about my head there again. Like that. Okay, nice. If you remember the line exercise I showed earlier, that sheet of A4, if you practice that, this will start becoming easier for you. Like that. We'll do one more here. You need to control your pressure also. Now I messed up this one a little bit, but it's okay. Now this one I'll try not messing up. Again, little pressure. And when you do such fine lines, always either hold your breath or breathe very slowly. Because what will happen is, and you'll see when I draw these lines, I go really quiet. It's because I'm holding my breath or breathing very slowly. Because what happens is when you breathe, your lungs expand and contract, so that minute expansion and contraction can shake your arm. Even though you may not feel it, it is still, it is still happening. We have a little bit. There you go. Okay. So let's have one final look. I'll just go through it like that. So there you go. This is our Pichwai Lotus painting. Alright. So if you've enjoyed that workshop and you would like to see more, tips and techniques as well, you can join us again at 5:30 and every day at 12:30 and 5:30 p.m. We have more workshops and more different workshops coming up. So to all of you who have joined us for the live, thank you so much for joining. And if you're interested in, looking more into these books, whether it may be the expert or the essentials or elementary in Pichwai art, you can have a look at our website, or you can download our Rooftop app. And we also have these on Amazon as well. So thank you everyone. Thank you for watching me, and thank you for joining me as well. I hope you have a good day.